Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. When we discuss about the humanitarian law is part of international law. So it's usually created during the conventions, the conference, or any kind of agreement or treaties. In the context of humanitarian law, the most maybe the most basic one is the Geneva Conventions. So when you, for example, agreed or maybe ratified the Geneva Conventions, it's not just after ratified you leave it and you forget it. No, it's more than that. So the subjects of international law, such as the countries, the government, the belligerents, and also ICRC as the most responsible part of the humanitarian law, just after the ratification, those subjects ought to adopt this law to be their kind of regulations, or maybe their law, or also their rules. And for example, like in the countries, maybe that should be their law. And then after the adoption of the regulation or maybe the ratified law, the humanitarian law or the conventions, you have to socialize, you have to educate your people. In the context of countries again, the authority or the government should socialize and educate the civilians and the most important part, of course, the military, the armies. So after we expect that after the education, after educating and socializing these people or maybe the actors, they will know the boundaries, they will know what to do and what should be avoided during, for example, the wars or maybe the conflict. And what's next? The next one is the respect. How to obey is one of the most important thing is, let's say, is respect. How to respect, for example, if there is like the boundaries, what should we do, what should we avoid, we should obey it, we should respect it. For example, the safe zones during the war, there might be some safe zones, for example, like the neighborhood of the civilians, which should not be touched by the military. It should be avoided, of course. And then also the some people or maybe some actors during the war, like the journalists, the medics, they should be protected, not to be attacked uh, by the any kind of weapon, for example. And then the next one, the authorities, like the government or maybe the ruler of the belligerent group or maybe the ICRC also have to maybe having some legal advices how to, for example, how to uh, the consultation, how to obey or maybe how to implement this humanitarian law. And then the next one, these these authorities should also check their budget, to prepare their budget, so there won't be such like calamity. Because for example, if you start the war but then you have no money, it will be so hilarious, because you of course will lose the war. And then also you have to be more fair, or maybe you have to be more uh, certain, for example, in checking the weapons legalities. It's very important. So because some weapons are prohibited, for example, like the white phosphorus, it's really prohibited to use to the civilians, of course. So the authorities should really check the weapon so it will be legal to be used during the war, the conflicts. So I think that's some, or maybe that's the most important part, how to implement the humanitarian law. But at the end, at the end of the presentation, I really hope that this humanitarian law will be respected and also will not be really used, because I hope there will be no war anymore in this beautiful world. I think that's all from me. Thank you for your attention. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.